Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Bhagavatam class from Canto 2, Chapter 7, and we're doing text 31 this morning. So without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Givadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Givadadari Yashodanandana Vadajanarandana Yashodanandana Vadajanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopiya Vallabha Girivadadari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jayam Vishnupada Paramhansa Privajagacharya Astottara Sadasishimadis Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupada Paramhansa Privajagacharya Astottara Sadasishimadis Divine Grace Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Śrī Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vṛndāvana Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Jagannath Swami ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Guru and Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Jira Swami Jinamani Namaste Krishna Rai Prabhupada Statement Sri Guru Karun Shakti Bhakti Narayana Namaskritya Narunchevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashta Parishva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatu Tamasloke Bhakti Vavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 31. Dear devotees, Hare Krishna, accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So as usual, I'll chant 3 times, and anyone who feels inclined can chant after me. Nandaṁ cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā cha ahny āpṛtaṁ niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā nandaṁ cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā cha ahny āpṛtaṁ niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā nandaṁ cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād gopā bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā cha ahny āpṛtaṁ niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā. Hare Krishna.
nandaṁ cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā cha ahny āpṛtaṁ niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay, we do word for word now. Nandaṁ, unto Nanda, the father of Kṛṣṇa. Cha also, mokṣyati saves, bhayād from the fear of, varuṇasya of Varuṇa, the demigod of water, pāśād from the clutches of, gopān, the cowherd men, bileṣu in the caves of the mountain, pihitān placed, maya-sūnunā by the son of Maya, cha also, ahny āpṛtaṁ being very engaged during the daytime, niśi at night, śayānam lying down, atiśrameṇa because of hard labor, lokaṁ planets, vikuṇṭham the spiritual sky, upaneṣyati he awarded, gokulaṁ the highest planet, sma certainly. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Lord Kṛṣṇa saved his foster father Nanda Mahārāja from the fear of the demigod Varuṇa and released the cowherd boys from the caves of the mountain, for they were placed there by the son of Maya. Also, to the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana who were busy working during daytime and sleeping soundly at night because of their hard labor in the day, Lord Kṛṣṇa awarded promotion to the highest planet in the spiritual sky. All these acts are transcendental and certainly prove without any doubt his godhood. Purport. Nanda Mahārāja, the foster father of Lord Kṛṣṇa, went to take his bath in the river Jamuna in the dead of night, mistakenly thinking that the night was already over. Thus the demigod Varuṇa took him to the Varuṇa planet just to have a look at the personality of Godhead Lord Kṛṣṇa, who appeared there to release his father. Actually, there was no arrest of Nanda Mahārāja by Varuṇa because the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana were engaged always in thinking of Kṛṣṇa, in constant meditation on the personality of Godhead, in a particular form of samadhi or trance of bhakti yoga. They had no fear of the miseries of material existence. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that to be in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by full surrender and transcendental love frees one from the miseries inflicted by the laws of material nature. Here it is clearly mentioned that the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana were extremely busy in the hard labor of their day's work, and due to the day's hard labor, they were engaged in sound sleep at night. So practically they had very little time to devote to meditation or to the other paraphernalia of spiritual activities. But factually, they were engaged in the highest spiritual activities only. Everything done by them was spiritualized because everything was dovetailed in their relationship with Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa. The central point of activities was Kṛṣṇa, and as such, the so-called activities in the material world were saturated with spiritual potency. That is the advantage of the way of Bhakti Yoga. One should discharge one's duty on Lord Kṛṣṇa's behalf, and all one's actions will be saturated with Kṛṣṇa thought, the highest pattern of trance in spiritual realization. Om Agnati Vṛndāvana Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Amritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Āpṛtaṁ Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Peshaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatayani Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gora Chishe Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. The English translation again. Lord Kṛṣṇa saved his foster father Nanda Mahārāja from the fear of the demigod Varuṇa and released the cowherd boys from the caves of the mountain, for they were placed there by the son of Maya. Also to the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana, who were busy working during daytime and sleeping soundly at night because of their hard labor in the day, Lord Kṛṣṇa awarded promotion to the highest planet in the spiritual sky. All these acts are transcendental and certainly prove without any doubt his godhood. Hare Krishna. So it's a very nice, instructive verse for us. There are a number of things that happened that show that Kṛṣṇa is always concerned about the welfare of those who are dedicated to him and who spend their lives serving in such a way to please Kṛṣṇa's senses. So, in this particular text, again, activities of Kṛṣṇa are being described here. First with Nanda Mahārāja, then later on with the cowherd boys. Kṛṣṇa did 2 instances of saving them. Nanda Mahārāja, his foster father, his real father is Vasudeva. Actually, he doesn't have a father, but according to the pastimes, he chose Vasudeva and Devaki to be the parents. They had also gone through austerities, requesting that Kṛṣṇa take birth with them as a son. So, when he was born, then by his own instruction, he asked Vasudeva to take him to Gokul, and then Nanda Mahārāja became the father. So basically, it's by relationship, that would be the foster father then. Nanda Mahārāja did one thing by mistake. He went to the river Nai to bathe. And this is the Jamuna River. He was thinking that the night was already over. As you well know, those of us that get up in the Brahma Muhurta hour, usually it's still nighttime. The sun hasn't started even appearing yet. So it looks just like what it is outside any time of the night. The Brahma Muhurta time also, which is actually the best time to devote to the Lord, even metaphysically. The Brahma Muhurta hour is actually better for doing things that are important, and for devotees, Kṛṣṇa consciousness is the most important thing that we do. Brahma Muhurta hour is very significant in that first of all, thoughts of people permeate the atmosphere and affect the atmosphere, the mood of the atmosphere, literally. The more people use foul language, the more the air gets polluted, and those who are sensitive to that, spiritual, they can feel it. Now, Brahma Muhurta hour is usually the time when not many people are up. They're sleeping still. Even those who do mode of ignorance and mode of passion thing up to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, or 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, by 2:30, before 3 o'clock, they're already sleeping. So Brahma Muhurta hour, which is after 3, they will not wake up yet. Therefore, the atmosphere that they normally will pollute with all kinds of negative things and negative thoughts, mode of passion and mode of ignorance, things and thoughts, they're not doing it anymore at that time. Therefore, the air is cleaner. I just learned by mistake one time when I was in high school, getting close to a test, that I hadn't studied the night before that well because I was tired. So I went to sleep, but then I went to sleep early and woke up early. And to my surprise, taking my book after washing my face and reading it in my notebook, I could take things in very quickly. Now, of course, at that time, I didn't know why. I just knew that early in the morning that when you study, it goes better and quicker too. Later on, I came to Kṛṣṇa consciousness, I found out that, so if the air is clean like that, it in fact affects positively everything that we do at that time of the morning. So Nanda Mahārāja, being very aware that he should get up in the Brahma Muhurta hour, early morning, he got up earlier by mistake. And first thing, you take a bath. Prabhupada has told us, when you get up, you take a bath and you start chanting. So Nanda Mahārāja also went to take his bath in the Jamuna River, but it was not time, it was not the Brahma who at that time. So the demigod of the water, Varuṇa, captured him. He had his assistants come and arrest him. But actually, at the back of our mind of Varuṇa, he wanted to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he knew that as soon as Kṛṣṇa finds out, he's going to want to come rescue his father, which means he'll come to Varuṇa's abode. So this was an indirect way to take, to get darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are others, even expansions of the Supreme Lord, who've done the same thing, kill children belonging to a Brahman, and then finally, Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna went to try to get those souls who had been killed because the Brahman was very upset and blaming Mahārāja Ugrasen that he's not a good king. Why under his rule we should lose children like that? But again, it was Lord Vishnu that wanted to have an audience of Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, and he did that. So then he finally released the children. So this is nothing new in terms of the pastimes of the Lord and the Lord's agents, and even the Lord's expansion. So Srila Prabhupada makes it clear, though, that there really wasn't an arrest of Nanda Mahārāja by Varuṇa, because the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana are always engaged in thinking of Kṛṣṇa. Now, it may seem that these two statements are disconnected. There was no arrest of Nanda Mahārāja by Varuṇa because the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana are engaged in thinking of Kṛṣṇa. So how do they connect? Well, the connection is, once you think of Kṛṣṇa and constantly think of Kṛṣṇa, you will also be constantly protected. And when you get protected, you won't really be arrested in the real sense of the word. Varuṇa, the demigod Varuṇa, knew that by taking Nanda Mahārāja, Kṛṣṇa would come and he'll get the darshan of Kṛṣṇa. So it was like a fake arrest. It wasn't a real arrest. Physically, it wasn't arrest. Physically, it was. But the idea behind it was just so Varuṇa would get Kṛṣṇa's attention. Had he not done that, it's unlikely that Kṛṣṇa would have come to him in that way. So he took advantage of the mistake by Nanda Mahārāja to just bring Nanda Mahārāja to his planet just so Kṛṣṇa would come. There have been other people who have done something similar, but that's all part of some of it is Mahabharata, but we will not get into details about it because they would tell so many. Suffice it for this one only. Now, Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada is saying, association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when we associate with them and fully surrender to Him, as He requires us to do, and serve Him in love, then the chances, not the chances, what happens is that the person who does that is freed from the miseries inflicted by the laws of material nature. A person gets freed from the miseries. Sometimes we'd say, oh, if we're surrendered, then some things may happen that's a reversal. Why? There's always a reason behind even those things that seem negative. And if you don't know the reason right away when it happens, over time, it will be in fact explained. And you will see that actually there was advantage, there were advantages even in the reversal that we go through. Reversals means things that we don't expect, negative things that we're not expecting that happens. Now we use the word reversal to describe those. So the third point is about the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana, the Vrijavasis. They work hard during the day, tending to their cows, most of them, they do that type of work, Vaishya work. But as they're working, everything they do is directly or indirectly related to service to Kṛṣṇa. So even if they put in a hard day's work, and that's what they were doing, working hard during the day, and of course coming home tired, so after they take a bath, then they just sleep. After they had the meals, take a bath, they sleep soundly at night to rest the body. Now, so Srila Prabhupada said they didn't spend so much time to meditation, but the activities they were performing was actually in the highest spiritual activities because they were engaged in activities connected to service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything was done keeping Kṛṣṇa as the center. And when we do that, we make the central point of activities Kṛṣṇa, then even the activities in the material world are saturated with spiritual potency. So even if we have employment, we go to work, and we're doing material things, because we, and this is based on how we ourselves see things, because we will take some of it, and I'm assuming we would take some of what we get from it in terms of money or remuneration, however much we get, we take some of it to use in or donating, we donate that to be used in Krishna conscious activities by the temple, then the work itself is spiritualized because the proceeds from the work now is being directed partly to serving Krishna. This is something that becomes very important to do. And when I started off my spiritual life in the early 90s, this was made very, very clear to me. You may not have time to do much in the temple because your work takes up so much of your time. But as Deva Swami kept insisting to me, at that time I was teaching at George Washington University, but what you get at your paycheck, you have to donate some to the temple. Because, and he said it at least 3 times that same morning, stressing it, that is important to do. That's how you spiritualize your work. And that way, you come home, you do other spiritual activities, even you eat, but you eat Krishna pāśādam, and you listen to lectures, you listen to bhajans, you join in the singing, and you pray a little bit, short prayer at night before you go to bed, or read before you go to bed, then practically you're spiritualizing the whole day. So while we may think, oh, we've got an employment and that takes at least 8 hours of the daytime, if we add the driving to the work too, if we have to, that's even more than 8 hours. But as soon as you take some of what comes out of your work in terms of your paycheck, take some and give to the temple, the entire work activity now is spiritualized. So when the cowherd men were attending to cows, at that time, Kṛṣṇa was not actually with them because he was tending to the little cows, the calves and so on. The cowherd men were tending to the big, full-grown cows and bulls. They work hard, and they also have to do some planting of vegetables. They were doing all of that. The women were milking the cows, and everybody had their jobs set nicely. But it was in Vṛndāvana, and Kṛṣṇa was the center of what they were doing. Kṛṣṇa was the center of the activities. Kṛṣṇa was the center of the conversation. They were thinking about Kṛṣṇa all of the time. Therefore, the activities were under Bhakti Yoga. When we do activities in the temple, our activities are under Bhakti Yoga. When we do the things that we have been taught to do in serving the deity at home, that activity is under Bhakti Yoga. When we cook and we offer and we have the prasadam, that is Bhakti Yoga. So we do have a chance at all times to structure our lives such that Bhakti Yoga is the predominant activity the whole day. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 7, and beyond, text 8 and 9, 10, and so on. They all talk about things that are so important to us. Since this has been put in the very first canto, second chapter. Vāsudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. Janayatyasu Vairagyam Yanam Chat Yat Ahoitikam. What is it meaning? By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Kṛṣṇa, here's the result. One immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. These two things happen by engaging in devotional service. You get to know Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa says, I reveal myself only through devotional service. So this is from the Bhagavad Gita. So Srimad Bhagavatam, this text, 1.2.7, confirms that when we render devotional service to the personality of Godhead, then knowledge about the Supreme Lord gets revealed to us, and we also get detached from the material world. Detached from the material world means we see the need and the wisdom in doing things that are only necessary to keep the body going, and everything else should be dovetailed or done directly in favor of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So bhakti is the topmost of all transcendental activities. There's other types of yoga also, karma yoga for one, which we still do. But bhakti yoga is the topmost. It is also sublime and easy. It's sublime for the pure devotees, and those are serious about getting in contact with the Supreme Lord. And it's easy for neophytes who are just starting bhakti. Why is it easy? Because Kṛṣṇa, they set up the process, and Srila Prabhupada stressed it through his instructions, that you come to Krishna consciousness, you chant with the devotees, singing, dancing, and feasting. Read Krishna pāśād after that. This is a program every time, especially on Sundays. For the full-time temples, they do that every day. Every morning, they have that, the class, and then they have the pāśādam. So it's easy then. Chanting, singing, dancing, and feasting. So when those who are starting, they feel that this is very, very congenial, very nice. Not many churches would do like that. And we get to do it, and even at the end, there's some nice vegetarian feast on top of that. So then it makes it easy then. But it's also easy in terms of the fact that when we even chant in japa, which is single person chanting, not congregation, that gives us the opportunity to get purified and to develop our love of Godhead. And love of Godhead means we get to go back to the spiritual world, especially in the sampradaya that we're in, Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. We are being taught how to do Bhakti Yoga, and the destination is the most versatile of all planets in the spiritual world, Krishna Loka or Goloka Vṛndāvana. So anyone involved in this particular sampradaya, there are other sampradayas, but this one is the one that takes us to Krishna Loka. The other sampradayas can take you to the spiritual world, but the other planets where the Lord is worshipped in awe and reverence, Lord Narayana. But Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya, this particular one that ISKCON is a part of, Lord Chaitanya's movement, takes us to that particular supreme, most versatile planet, and the farthest one also in the spiritual world, the abode of Kṛṣṇa. So we can relate to Kṛṣṇa not only in just in awe and reverence, but to relate in other relationships that are much sweeter than awe and reverence. So the spiritual process leads to perfect knowledge of everything, even material and spiritual. And many, many sannyasis have said this. You read through the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will get to know material things as well as spiritual things. Both are there. In the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila explains to his mother Devahuti about Sankhya philosophy. And Sankhya philosophy involves things that are material also. And the Supreme Lord's incarnation goes through very, very detailed description about what's material, what's essential material, and what is essential spiritual, opens our eyes to what is material and spiritual, so that those who are hearing or listening or studying will choose spiritual over material. By his instruction, Lord Kapila's instruction, it becomes easy for a human being, just by the intelligence that we have, to see the importance of living a spiritual life and only taking what's necessary from the material. So Lord Kapila's teachings are also there in the third canto. So from this service of the Lord, we become detached from material affection. And if you look around us, those who are non-devotees, they have so much affection to things material. They may be living things like their dogs and their cats, or non-living things like their cars and their houses and other toys that they have in their homes, as we call them, toys. But their thought is always connected to that. So much so that even if something happens to any of those things that are non-living, like the cars, they think it's happened to them. Sometimes the car gets involved in an accident, and a person who is like that and attached to the car, he said, "This driver hit me." They hit the car, but they'll say the driver hit me. So they are so attached to the vehicle that they literally, in that situation, forget who they are and what the car is. And they just literally think that the harm has been done to them, when in fact the harm has been done to the vehicle. But this is the kind of attachment that people get. So when we come into bhakti, we begin to realize what the positive form is. Positive form is the light, and light eliminates darkness. Light is Kṛṣṇa consciousness, and darkness is maya. So the negative forms get eventually and automatically eliminated the more we stay in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. So a pure devotee is not engaged in inferior energies, material energies, nor does he have material values. And we see that a pure devotee is still walking among us, and the way they live their lives and what they do show us by their activities where our minds should be at. So this is not just dry reasoning. This is all by the grace of the Lord that we are able to stay in Bhakti Yoga. In Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 8, talks about, and Sri Prabhupada quotes that quite a bit, especially the last line of this, Shameva hi kevalam. Occupational activities of a man, what a man performs according to his position, are useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. And that is a big, open instruction to us. Our activities are useless labor if they do not make us get attracted to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we don't do that, then our work is all based on our material interests. Selfishness, which is categorized by Srila Prabhupada as concentrated selfishness, which is on our personal body, what is good for us. At least we think that way materially. Animals also think the same way. And extended selfishness, which is for human society and centers on the family and society and the community and the nation and even the planet sometimes. But it's all based on gross bodily comfort. So that's not the way we should work. That's why, at the very least, whatever we get from our material work, we should take some of it and give to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in terms of donation of money and donation of things in kind also, like boga for the deities. It is very important because it keeps us in a mindset of Krishna consciousness. And that way we fulfill the soul's need. What is the soul's need? The spirit soul wants to get out of the limited sphere of material bondage and be completely free to serve the Lord out of this jail. So he wants to get out of this greater universe and wants to be free to connect with Kṛṣṇa directly. That's where the highest happiness is. And so we're preparing to go. And the pastimes of the Lord are meant to excite us, to make us want to even go more towards Kṛṣṇa. As Srila Prabhupada describes the pastimes, he's also made the comment that it is all, you got to understand this is all possible for us to be a part of the pastime too. We're not now, but we will be if we take Bhakti Yoga seriously. On top of that, there is a direct personal relationship between the Lord and every living entity in the spiritual world. So if we, again, take Bhakti Yoga seriously, we will be reviving, getting the opportunity to revive that connection with the Lord. And it is the sweetest connection. We'll take one of the rasas, for example, friendship. Sakya friendship. Srila Prabhupada explained, nobody can be a better friend to one than Kṛṣṇa. We know relationships, sometimes we go for years relating well to each other, and then something happens or we make a mistake. And for a while, that relationship, friendship is strained. One is unhappy with the other. Sometimes it becomes a permanent thing where the person does not speak. They don't speak to each other anymore. Or for a while, one has to apologize and then they try to revive the relationship. You never go through that with Kṛṣṇa. The best friendship relationship you can have is a relationship with Kṛṣṇa. And the other rasas are like that also. Kṛṣṇa is always sweetening the relationship between him and the living entity. And so we have a lot to look forward to just by staying in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. And how do we stay it? We have to stay in it. We have to engage ourselves in the type of activities that will evoke, that will awake the divine consciousness. How do we do that? That's possible by hearing about the Lord and chanting about the Lord, the divine activities. Chanting his holy name and also talking about the pastimes of the Lord. That will excite us. So the activities that don't help us to achieve that attachment for hearing and chanting, that is simply a waste of time. That's why in the material energy, we take only what is necessary for us. And we don't get involved in many other things. Some of us maybe keep an eye out to see a little bit of what's going on in the material world, but we're not attached to it. Devotees should actually feel sorry for what non-devotees do, even though non-devotees are thinking that they are living the best that they can in this material world. Everybody's intelligence gives them the sense that there is something wrong with life. Everybody's intelligence gives them that. Some people just simply ignore it. And others think, oh, we do this, we come up with this other gadget. It's going to make life better. And for a while, a new gadget comes and we get it and we think, yeah, my life is now improved. But it's only temporary. We'll find after a short while that there are other problems that's come with this new acquisition, whatever thing that we've had, that has also become a part of our life that we weren't expecting, but it has become a part of our lives. And now it's something we have to deal with. So everything material, if we try to get so involved in it, we are going to take with for each one, its problems. Every one of them come with some problems. So we have to be convinced, hopefully, that only the spiritual takes us out of this situation. See, what we're talking about here in the material world never happens in the spiritual world. Spiritual world, everything is perfect. Everything is blissful. And living entity is happy all of the time, relating to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and relating to the other living entities who are also pure in consciousness and in activity. So that's where we need to, that's what we want. We can't get it here. And therefore, we're being prepared to go to the place where we can get that kind of relationship among ourselves in purity and also with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhakti Yoga has to be taken very, very seriously. Very seriously. All occupational engagements are meant for ultimate liberation. They should not be performed for material gain. Then the sages are also saying one who's engaged in ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. When we work, yes, there will be some material gain from it. Now, the way things are structured, for most people, the material gain is paycheck or profit coming from a business. That's the way things are engaged here. And money is the center of wealth at this point. But as is being said here, the ultimate occupational service should not be used just for material gain or cultivating sense gratification. The ultimate should be for Kṛṣṇa consciousness. So don't direct life towards sense gratification. In Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 10, I talked about Text 8 earlier. Kamasya nendriya priti labhojiveta jabata. Vivasya tatvagyasa nato yasyeha karmavi. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. All the texts are saying the same thing in different ways. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. One should desire only a healthy life because the body has to be in good shape in order for it to be used for serving the body, serving Guru, and serving the deity, Kṛṣṇa consciousness. So one should desire only a healthy life. We keep ourselves healthy, or self-preservation, same thing, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. It's all about inquiry about the absolute truth. And absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's where our mindset should be the whole time. So in this text that we're talking about today, the things that happened, Varuṇa taking Nanda Mahārāja, Varuṇa wanted the audience of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he knew that if Kṛṣṇa found out, he would come to where Varuṇa is to try to get his father released. And his father would definitely be released because really, that's not the main thing. That pastime was for Varuṇa to be able to get an audience of Kṛṣṇa. And Kṛṣṇa knows everything. So Kṛṣṇa knew, even while going to Varuṇa's abode, that the real reason the Nanda Mahārāja was there was because Varuṇa wanted Kṛṣṇa's attention. That's all the real reason was. Varuṇa wanted Kṛṣṇa's attention. And by taking his father, his foster father, he knew that that would definitely make Kṛṣṇa now take as priority having to come get his father out of Varuṇa's abode. And in that way, Varuṇa would get to see Kṛṣṇa. So we also should try in any kind of way possible to have darshan of Kṛṣṇa all of the time. For us, it's very simple. You come to the temple, Sisi Nitai Gaurachandra are there, they give the darshan right away. And so if we take advantage of it and come more than just once a week, we get even greater darshan of the Lord. And the more we do that, the less attached we become to a sense gratification. We have spiritual senses, and those senses would be satisfied to no end in the spiritual world. There is constant bliss in the spiritual world at a level that nobody can imagine even in the material world, not even in the heavenly planets. There is tremendous, tremendous sense gratification in the spiritual world, but it is not material sense gratification. It is spiritual sense gratification. When we are satisfying Krishna's senses, our senses also become satisfied. We have even some example of that here. When we cook and serve Kṛṣṇa, the bhoga, chant the prayers that come with offering the foodstuff to him, he gets to eat first by the way he wants to eat. If he wants to look at it, or because the senses are interchangeable, so he can look by even eating, he can eat like that with his eyes or other parts of the body. But what happens after the offering? Who gets to eat it? The devotees. And that doesn't satisfy our tongue. That doesn't satisfy. The prasadam is nice. So there is service, but there's also our senses being gratified. And that happens at the highest level in quantity and quality in the spiritual world. Therefore, all of our activities should be geared towards the final goal, which is going back to Godhead. Now, among that is you can't go back to Godhead unless you have a nice attachment to Kṛṣṇa in love. And that's why this process of Bhakti Yoga starts with service to Kṛṣṇa, with instructions. Even if we do not have pure love for the Lord, we should agree to serve the Lord. And the service should not be in a lackadaisical way. The service should come with full commitment. There are some devotees who think that, well, I'm initiated, I want to do service, but based on when I can do service and when other things come that are material, and then I don't have the time, then somebody will have to do it for me. Anyone who thinks that way doesn't even understand what it is like to be a devotee. Devoted to something. When you're devoted to something, you're also committed to that thing. So when the service gets given to you, it's like your newborn baby. You do not leave that for any reason. The mindset should be, I'm committed to it, and it's time to go do it when the time comes and I'm on schedule to do this. I don't come up with any excuses. Even if some things happen, I will still go serve unless the body has put me down completely. And that happens only once in a while. So there must be very, very, very sincere commitment to the service. That's devotional service. But people want to enjoy themselves in their homes, and every now and then I come and do some service, and every time if I don't feel like it, yeah, well, if you do that, Kṛṣṇa says, the extent to which we surrender to me, I reward accordingly. Those who do like that, as my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj likes to put it, it's material business as usual. They ain't going anywhere. You will not develop love for Kṛṣṇa. They can just fake it all they want. It will not work out that way. Love for Kṛṣṇa is where you put your heart into the service, where you're very serious about it, and where you do not give excuses to do the service. Sometimes I want to do it, sometimes I don't want to. That, by the way, is third-class devotional service level. There's the first, the second, and the third-class devotional level. So that is on third class. We don't want to be third class. We have to be committed. First class is you do the duties, and even you go above and beyond that, do more. Second is you do your duties with full commitment. And then the third class is when people come up with excuses. One day I want to do it, another day I don't want to do it. And then they want particular positions, but they can't commit to it. No commitment, no service. And no commitment, no real devotion. So it's on us what we want to do. We have an opportunity to go back to Godhead, to have the highest sense gratification there is anywhere. The process has been simplified. We don't chant 64 rounds japa, which is what's required for a Vaishnava. We chant 16 rounds minimum. You can go past 16 rounds, but the minimum is 16 rounds. 1/4 of 64 rounds. Temples have been set up all over the world. So we live in a place where we can go close to a temple. I mean, we're living close enough to a temple to be able to go and have association of devotees. Because sadhusanga is very important for growth in Krishna consciousness. Without it, there's not much of a chance for us to grow because Maya will take our minds away from devotion. It is the association with devotees that keeps us close to Krishna all the time and reminds us of the goal. We're going to be extremely happy after we leave this body and go back to Godhead, but it depends on what we do now. With Bhakti Yoga, it depends very much on what we do now. So those who want the absolute truth, Krishna, they're never allured by unnecessary engagements in sense gratification, material sense gratification. So those who are serious, they always want to know more about the absolute truth, and in that way, they in fact grow wonderfully spiritually. So the conclusion is, we serve in bhakti, and we will steadily and slowly develop love of Godhead and detachment from the negative things that we do in the material world. Detachment from the material world. Next, we should think only of Krishna, just like the residents of Raj, they do. They're only thinking about Krishna. They talk about Krishna as they do in their work. The gopis do that. Gopals do that. Cowherd boys are with Krishna. And we also can be with Krishna in mind by chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of this. And now this is the time to unmute yourself. And if you want to comment or ask a question, you can do that. Hare Krishna. So any questions or comments? All right. So hopefully you got the message that you've got to take Krishna consciousness seriously, and you will be happy in the end. You'll be very glad you did. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. You have a nice and wonderful day. This is Friday, so you have a wonderful weekend. This weekend is coming up. Nice program in the temple. Hopefully everybody will be there. And we enjoy this festival that's coming up. Hare Krishna. Vanchakapatarubhesya kripa sunivevacha patitānam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.